Greetings and welcome. This is about evidence-based strategies for evoking human healing responses. A topic I hope that will interest you. I'm going to first introduce myself briefly and then provide a perspective of what we will be discussing. And then over the next 45 minutes or so, we'll be updating on recent evidence and how it applies to individual practice, how it applies to improving outcomes, how it applies to falling back in love with professional practice and being enchanted with the opportunities to evoke healing responses and to remove obstacles to recovery. Well, I'm Dr. Russ Jaffe. I'm an internist. I'm a biochemist. I'm a certified clinical nutritionist. I maintain a fellow status in the American Society for Clinical Pathology, the American College of Nutrition, the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology, where I'm a scientific fellow, the Federation of Clinical Immunology Societies, and the American Medical Laboratory Immunologist. I'm an overseas fellow of the Royal Society of Medicine and a senior fellow at the Health Studies Collegium. I'm founder and chairman of PERC Integrative Health, safer and enhanced delivery systems for better bioavailable uptake and chaperone delivery of novel supplements and meals. ELISA Act Biotechnologies that specializes in lymphocyte response cell cultures to measure immune tolerance and intolerance, and RMJHRX, who looks at nature's pantry and nature's pharmacy for opportunities to provide safer, more effective medications. You can reach me at rjaffe@4hsc.org. You can also reach me through drrusselljaffe.com, and I welcome your comments and suggestions in relation to the material and the introduction to what we'll be talking about, in a sense the overview of what we'll be talking about, is that 92% of our overall health comes from our choices, not from chance. In other words, 92% of our overall health comes from our choices, which we can call epigenetics. The things we can influence, not chance, not genetics. 92% epigenetic, 8% genetic. 92% habits of daily living that we've learned and that we can learn better ways of implementing, that we can by choice modify, rather than the part of us that is fixed based on our mom and dad, on our genetics. Let's say this in a different way. We become what we eat, drink, think, and do. Eating, drinking, thinking, and doing engages us as individuals, and the choices we make about consumption, eating and drinking, and thinking and moving and doing determines our functional age and health status. Let's look at the typical situation. More than half of people, more than 50% of people, are either overweight, have distress, metabolic syndrome, chronic pathogens, and or inflammation, which we call repair deficit. Good Lord, we're not a well society, but we sure do spend a lot on sickness care, as Senator Tom Harkin reminds us, among others. So whether your challenge is maintaining a healthy weight, or maintaining a healthy mood and avoiding distress, or metabolic syndrome, syndrome X, insulin resistance, prediabetes, all the way to frank acquired diabetes. If you're hospitable to chronic pathogens, from parasites to bacteria, from viruses to anything that's not you, anything that's a pathogen, if you're hospitable, that's a sign your immune system is not working properly, and we'll describe why and what to do about it in the next few minutes. Inflammation is really repair deficit. Now, I'm a pathologist, and we pathologists know a lot about inflammation, but we're looking at the wrong end of the equation. We're looking at the consequences. We're looking at the results. We should be looking at the causes, which is a lack of repair, a deficit in repair, and then see the opportunities to evoke healing responses and remove obstacles to recovery. Now, with regard to chronic illness, over time, it sure looks like the older you get, the sicker you are. and some more rapidly rise with advancing age, some less rapidly rise, but in general, you're healthier when you're young, and with more years, less healthy. I'm going to challenge that prevailing concept. What I would suggest is a prevailing myth. It's not about age, it's about function. So let's first talk about restorative healing. We want to eat what you and we and I can digest, assimilate, and eliminate without immune burden. We're all in this together. We want to eat what we can digest, assimilate, and eliminate without immune burden. Digest, break things down. Assimilate, take them in a useful way. Eliminate, get rid of the waste before it harms us. And with an immune system that can repair us, not a burdened immune system that's overwhelmed with defense work from digestion or other sources of foreign invasion. Now, central to health and being well are four concepts. Central to health and being well means homeostasis, the ability to bring ourselves back to equilibrium when we're distressed or when we're pushed off equilibrium. Central to health and being well means having enough essential nutrients to meet my individual need, each individual's needs, the biochemical individuality, if you will. Central to health and being well means detoxification competences. It means being able to block the uptake of toxins to the extent possible and then remove them more safely if they do get in. Central to health and being well means reducing environmental toxin exposures to the extent possible, and remarkably, 3/4 to 80% of the toxins to which we're exposed are short duration toxins, which means if we remove them from our exposure, our environment, from our kitchens and our bathrooms and our homes and our schools and our places of work, if we remove them, we can substantially reduce the amount of foreign environmental toxin exposure. Now I'd like to provide some insight into a well-validated concept that most of us need a moment to grasp. The concept is that averages deceive, but individuals choose. Averages deceive, but individuals choose. And by that what I mean is, if you look at any physiologic function, look at the highest tone your ear can hear, look at ocular accommodation, look at how much air you can move in 1 second, look at the interval, some of the intervals in how the heart functions. Look at muscular contraction or vibratory threshold or pain threshold or any physiologic function. Averages deceive, but individuals choose. And by that I mean, this is the average. This is what most of us have been taught and what most of us frankly believe. We reach a peak in young adulthood and then we slowly decline as age takes us forward. That may be average, but there certainly are chronically ill people who don't reach as high a peak and do decline more quickly, so function does matter. And what about the other side? There are about 20 to 25, maybe 30% of people who don't spend much on sick care. They do spend it on health promotion. They maintain lifelong repair, lifelong quality of health, lifelong function. And I'm particularly interested in a subgroup of people, the people who reached a peak, got sick, and restored quality of health for lifelong repair, lifelong vitality. It is a choice. It is not inevitable to decline, although on average people do. So averages deceive, but individuals can choose, and I want to choose that green line. I want you, whether you're there or whether you need to be restored to it, to choose it yourself, and I'm going to show how over the next few minutes. So, guide your patients and clients toward restored immune tolerance, guide them towards neurohormonal balance, guide them towards digestive competence, guide them towards improved detoxification function. This is an organized, a structured approach to evoke human healing, a comprehensive, structured method to evoke human healing. So there are opportunities to heal. Number one, immune system tolerance, and identify delayed allergy intolerances and restore immune system tolerance. Second, correct individual nutrient deficits, personalized supplements and lifestyle. Yes, diet is fundamental. Supplements in the 21st century are essential for almost all of us, just to maintain our individual nutrient needs so that we can live in harmony with our lifestyle, we can live well and happy and function throughout our lifespan at a high level. Opportunities to heal include number 3, the safer toxin removal. Being able to block toxin uptake through proactive choices, and more importantly, enhance, in some cases rehabilitate, detoxification mechanisms so that safer toxin removal can be yours. Opportunities to heal emphasize nature, nurture, and wholeness as guiding principles, and we'll talk about how to apply that, but when you start with nature, nurture, and wholeness as principles, you have a very firm foundation on which to stand. Now, opportunities to heal involve immune system tolerance and measuring for delayed allergies. And I will emphasize that inflammation, when we think more deeply at a molecular level, is really repair deficit, and really we have an opportunity to restore repair, not just suppress inflammation. If we start from a healthy immune system, then there are no allergies because we're tolerant. Our innate immune system neutralizes infections and allergens. We have 50 billion dendritic, wiggly, white blood cells that recycle 50 pathogens per cell. The math says 2.5 trillion pathogens, foreign invaders, can be recycled when our innate immune system is energetic and functioning well. Too often the innate immune system has lost its energy. And this can be measured with an old-fashioned but still reliable test called phagocytic index. And if you get 50 pathogens eaten by the cells in the laboratory, then those cells are really healthy, and we recommend continuing that program. But if the phagocytic index shows that the dendritic cells are pooped, that the dendritic cells are barely able to take in and recycle in the lysosome the pathogens, well, then you want to recharge those dendritic innate immune system cells and at the same time deal with any acquired delayed hypersensitivities, which we're going to talk about over the next few minutes. What we want is for your immune system to be balanced in defense and repair, so it defends and repairs you. We want defense and repair in balance. Generally, we think about defense during the day and repair at night, but we really want our immune defense and repair system to be robust so that it can defend us and repair us and also eliminate those pesky cancer cells that people make every day that do need to be identified and eliminated. Now, an overburdened immune system means too much defense, and therefore the repair deficit accumulates. Repair deficit occurs because the defense work comes first, and then you get immune dysfunction and diseases emerge. Inflammatory autoimmune conditions emerge when the defense work is enhanced and the repair work is deferred. Now let's take a moment to look at inflammation from the point of view of pathology, but really repair deficit in physiology. And in clinical practice, I recommend physiology before pharmacology and pathology. So let's rethink inflammation. It's not really just a fire to be fought, as you see in that little diagram, that classic way in which pathologists think about heat, redness, swelling, pain, and loss of function. I can even say that in Latin if you ever want me to. The healthy body repairs without increase in the inflammatory markers, including hsCRP as the classic. The healthy body repairs without a cry for help. When the body has a repair deficit, when we have what we call inflammation, then C-reactive protein increases, and we can measure this in a sensitive way, the high sensitivity CRP, hsCRP, which is a cry for help. And we even know the best outcome predictive goal value, the hsCRP predictive goal value, the hsCRP predictive goal value that gives you the best outcome is less than 0.5 milligrams per liter, and that's what we say you should have, indicating that you're able to repair as well as defend yourself. And if the hsCRP is above 0.5, we have a systematic approach starting with nature, nurture, and wholeness to restore the ability to repair, and therefore the body doesn't make the inducible proteins like CRP, and the level will be less than 0.5. Common immune burdens include remnants from incomplete digestion. Most of us may not be aware of it, but our digestion is not as healthy as it deserves to be. Diabetes and insulin resistance, carbohydrate intolerance, maldigestion related to diabetes is a very common source of immune burdens. Environmental antigens are yet another. So there are multiple, in the 21st century, multiple additional burdens on immune system, immune defense and repair system than used to be there. By identifying and eliminating exposures, immune burden can be reduced or eliminated, and that's what we recommend, and what I'm going to be spending the next few minutes discussing and showing you the solutions that we would guide you to. Now, why is this an important issue? Well, it's because hidden immune burdens are hidden. They're known as occult or hidden or mystery immune burdens for a reason. Delayed food and chemical sensitivities are hard to find because the symptoms occur 3 hours to 3 weeks after exposure. Even the best of histories is not good enough if it's hours to days to weeks from exposure to symptoms. Arthus reactions, Schwartzman reactions, serum sickness reactions may take weeks from exposure until they express symptoms. And therefore, these major contributors to chronic ill health and systematic inflammation, these major contributors to autoimmune illness and to chronic repair deficit conditions, are very hard to find by history. I would say near impossible to find by history. And you need a functional test, not a physical chemistry test, to find them. So we recommend a window into the immune system through lymphocyte response functional assays, and for each person, just 1 single ounce of blood properly obtained can be tested for foods, chemicals, mold to identify the hypersensitive triggers, the delayed triggers, the burdensome immune system triggers. Then we can substitute for them, and when they have been reduced or eliminated, we can reset, renew, repair, and restore the body in a 21st century evidence-based systematic way. So opportunities to heal may have to do with our capacity to correct individual nutrient deficits and to personalize supplements and lifestyle recommendations. And we start with self-assessments. So let's see what we can do to make assessments on us as individuals, on an individual, to determine their individual nutrient needs and deficits, their food and supplement requirements, and lifestyle opportunities. We're going to start with just 3. We have a number, but we're going to start with just 3 that we use for this individualized supplementation program. These are self-tests to guide determination of need. You see on the far left the PERC C cleanse, how to determine by C calibration how much you need using PERC Potent C Guard. We'll talk more about that. Then in the middle you see the First AM Urine pH test kit. We'll talk about that and what it reveals and how to use that information. Then we're going to talk about the transit time, GI transit time test kit, and how you might use that, use each of these with each of the people you engage in Lifetime for Health approaches to evoking healing responses to help them stop fighting with the signs and symptoms of ill health and start really healing with these self-tests to guide initial supplementation needs. Now, with regard to ascorbate calibration, we know that if you look on the far left, healthy people in green need 1.5 grams or half a teaspoon every 15 minutes. That's 6 grams, and within an hour or two, most people who are healthy will cleanse. Healthy here means minimal to no symptoms. People with mild symptoms, moderate ills, twice as much, 3 grams, 1 teaspoon every 15 minutes. That's 12 grams. In a couple of hours, most people will cleanse. Too many people need what's on the far right in the red. That is 6 grams, 2 teaspoons every 15 minutes, 24 grams an hour, 48 grams in 2 hours. Some people need even more. Some people need probiotics, recycled glutamine, magnesium, or polyphenolics just before, and sometimes even a dose during extended cleanse. And if we look at some technical information, just very quickly, and don't worry about the orientation, the yellow are the folks who are asymptomatic. They need less than 5 grams to cleanse. The next group, the bronze, are the folks that need 5 to 10 grams. The green group is the 80% who need between 10 and about 120 grams. And then 1 in 20 or so people need even more. And we can talk offline about individual cases of high complexity and need. Then there's the first AM urine pH, which we really find very important. Here you see a diagram illustrating why it is so important. But after 6 or more hours of rest, the urine fluid equilibrates with the GU tract lining cells. On the bottom you see that after 6 hours, the fluid in the bladder has equilibrated with the lining cells, and now you have one non-invasive measure of cellular metabolic acidosis. And so we recommend that after rest, people get up and check the next urine that comes out using a specific pH paper, and we'll talk about how to assess the information, because this tells you whether you need more minerals to buffer the metabolic acids that are currently being produced. So it's a current self-assessment of need. It looks at first AM urine pH so that we can see the status of cell acids produced and how the minerals coming in are balancing that out. Why? Because the enzyme catalysts are very pH sensitive inside the cell. Even a little shift from more to less alkaline towards the acid side, even a little shift will dramatically impair the function of the cell. Healthy cells are able to produce more than 90% of their proteins efficiently that pass quality control and go out to the body to be used. Make the cell even a little less alkaline and more acid, and less than 10% of the proteins are properly folded and produced, and 90% need to be recycled, and that's an energy burden on the cell. Magnesium is the essential electrolyte that's often deficient and forgotten. It's often known as the forgotten electrolyte, but it's also the 4th most common mineral in the earth. It balances out calcium. It's actually nature's calcium channel blocker, and we'll talk later about this essential electrolyte and how the first morning urine pH tells us whether we need more minerals in our diet, more alkaline amino acids and short-chain fatty acids to alkalinize, and more supplementation, particularly enhanced uptake and chaperone delivery magnesium. So we can look at the urine after 6 hours of rest. The goal value is 6.5 to 7.5. Why? Because if it's below 6.5, excess acid just wears you out. Wears you down and wears you out. You want to be in the healthy repair and restore zone. That's the green 6.5 to 7.5 zone. And we recommend a daily check, because you might be tearing yourself down with catabolic illness. You might be too alkaline. You might have a pH greater than 7.5 because ammonia is being lost as muscle is being cannibalized for energy because the body is otherwise impaired. So we don't want the excess acid on the left to wear you out. We don't want the catabolic illness on the right to tear you down. We want to be in the healthy repair and restore zone, 6.5 to 7.5 for that first urine after rest. And we would recommend you keep a daily log and see how you feel and function compared to how your morning pH is, and adjusting the amount of minerals and alkaline elements coming in supplementation, particularly based on that first morning urine pH. Now the acid producers, the net acid producers, the net acid sources, the net acid producers are metabolism itself, because metabolism produces extra acid and we have to take in the alkaline minerals and other alkaline elements to balance that out to maintain and survive in a healthy state. There are other net acid producers, including oxidative stress and antioxidant deficiency itself. Free radical activity produces extra acid, as well as oxidation products. And then there are immune reactions. The loss of tolerance is associated with lots of complement-related acid production, and that's a further burden, almost like running a biochemical marathon on a daily basis. burdensome and hard for the body to recover. There are only 3 biological buffers. Biological buffers are and are only 3. Minerals, such as magnesium, potassium, zinc, and other minerals, MCT, medium-chain triglycerides, short and medium-chain fats, and alkaline amino acids. That's it. There are 3 buffers, minerals, MCT, and alkaline amino acids. Machines that make water alkaline don't help the body. We did talk about magnesium. It is hard to get in, and it tends to run out as fast as it gets in unless you do what we recommend, which is recognize the magnesium uptake block and deal with and address it by combining choline citrate. 220 to 880 milligrams per day of elemental magnesium with concurrent choline citrate is what we recommend, because the magnesium displaces toxic minerals. It can help the body get rid of toxic minerals. Metallothionein, that is magnesium rich, is a sponge that toxic minerals bind to, and the body can then get rid of them. Magnesium also protects fats. Essential fats would be oxidized without the antioxidant protection of magnesium in lipoproteins. And magnesium is nature's calcium channel blocker and has many other beneficial effects, including activating cell catalysts. Now, the choline that helps the magnesium come in then goes into acetylcholine as a neurochemical, a helpful, soothing neurochemical. And it helps the liver with cholinergic bile salts that make more soluble bile to remove toxins more easily from the liver. And the citrate, which is acid in the test tube, alkalinizes, produces bicarbonate in the battery, in the mitochondria of the cell, and energizes and alkalinizes and helps the body in this way. So we enhance the uptake and chaperone the delivery of magnesium with concurrent choline citrate, Perc Mag Plus Guard, and Perc choline citrate, a great dynamic duo to enhance the uptake and chaperone delivery of the magnesium throughout the body. We've also looked at food effects on body chemistry over the last 30 years. We want to eat the more alkaline foods that you see on the right, 80% when you're recovering, 60% when you're well. And yes, you can have some more acid foods, 20% from the left, 80% from the right when you're healing, 60% from the right, 40% from the left for maintenance if you're healthy. We also want to talk a little bit about the GI transit time, a self-assessment. The average transit from eating to eliminating in America is between 36 and 96 plus hours. It's not uncommon for people to eliminate on Monday what they ate the previous Monday. This allows time for toxins to be reabsorbed and other toxins to form and harm the body. This drains metabolism. It doesn't energize metabolism. And it's associated with chronic GI and systemic illness. Often the link between the maldigestion and the long transit time is not obvious until you look for it, and then you find that restoration of a healthy transit time, that is a 12 to 18 hour healthy transit time, is associated with remission, reduction of symptoms, and remission from illness. Now, sometimes food moves through too quickly. That's called short bowel syndrome, not to be confused with SIBO, but short bowel syndrome means you're moving the food through in less than 10 hours, which means you're not having enough time to extract the nutrients. Malabsorption and malnutrition can emerge. We don't want that either. We want a healthy 12 to 18 hour transit time. What you eat at night for dinner should be coming out in the morning to help understand what that means in practice. Now, there are opportunities to heal, to evoke healing response, and this includes safer toxin removal. Let's get the bad stuff out and the good stuff in. And what do I mean? Well, functional detoxification is essential in the 21st century. It was elective in the 20th century. But if you compare the year 2000 with the year 1900, there's been a vast increase, a 1,500%, a 15-fold increase in the industrial chemicals in our environment. Every pregnant woman today is exposed to 43 or more xenotoxins, environmental harmful chemicals whose interaction we know too little about, and therefore, from our point of view, we should do everything we can to reduce the exposure and enhance the ability to remove these toxicants from the body. Now, detoxification support for all 3 phases is what we recommend. Detox support for all 3 phases. If you look at the bottom of the slide, you see phase 1, metabolism. Metabolically change the compound so it's less toxic. Phase 2, conjugation. Add something to it that makes it more water soluble so you can more safely remove it through the kidney, sweat, and stool. Or phase 3, lipotropic. Make it fat soluble and put it in the bile and get it out by binding it to fiber in the digestive tract. The prebiotic fiber that binds the lipotropic toxins, preventing them from getting reabsorbed through the enterohepatic circulation. So phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, all 3 phases of detox support are important, and we recommend all 3 of them. We have for 30 years had a premier product, Perk Detox In Guard, and Perk Detox In Guard, actually the first Perk product, Perk Detox In Guard, enhances phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. It enhances metabolic, conjugation, and lipotropic detoxification, and we recommend this 3-in-1 super detoxifier support product. Now we also recommend biological or biodetox using superfoods, and there are 5. And they are garlic, ginger, onions, broccoli, sprouts, and eggs. And there's a acronym or memory hook of GGOBE to remember garlic, ginger, onions, broccoli, sprouts, and eggs. If you make these staples in your diet, you'll get lots of sulforaphane and IP6 and lots of other minerals and lots of other things that help detoxify and enhance competence. So make GGOBE staples in your diet, as Thomas Jefferson recommended, not condiments. And glutamine, but we need it recycled by pack. We need glutamine because that's the energy source for rapidly dividing cells in the intestine. However, we don't want glutamine to go to glutamate, so we use glutamine recycled by pack, pyridoxal alpha-ketoglutarate, the glutamine recycled by pack for cell energy repair. Now there are pro-repair, pro-detoxifying nutrients, and we want to review those very quickly, and they are first, the C cleanse, second, the dark fruits, the superfoods for polyphenolics, then the B complex, the entire methylation cofactors in natural balanced forms. Then on the lower left, ascorbate and greens. Sometimes you can drink your greens, sometimes you want to wilt them, sometimes you want to have lots of salads. Then high sulfur foods, what we just talked about, the GGOBE, and finally omega-3 rich sources, but you want the pure, uncontaminated, and usually micellized for better uptake supplements. And yes, cold water, fish, and omega-3 rich eggs are fine sources, but you also probably want to supplement, and you want to measure something we'll talk about later, the omega-3 index, to determine if you're getting enough and or if you need more. But if you're getting EPA DHA, we want it to be pure, uncontaminated, and micellized. That means nitrogen distilled to remove toxins and protect the EPA and DHA from damage, air oxidation damage. So you want the micellized, better uptake form, you want the pure nitrogen purged and nitrogen distilled form so that you can get the benefit of concentrated EPA DHA. Now in regard to opportunities to heal, we mentioned nature, nurture, and wholeness. We've put this together in a monograph, The Joy in Living the Alkaline Way, affectionately known as the Alkaline Way. The Joy in Living the Alkaline Way is something you can download. At the end of this talk, I'll tell you how to download it directly from the internet without cost. And it's also physically available for educational purposes. Now, the Joy in Living the Alkaline Way monograph includes alkalinizing foods and water, the chart that we talked about and already reviewed briefly. It includes these self-assessments and activity and first AM urine pH measurement. It emphasizes how to enhance magnesium uptake with choline citrate based on first morning urine pH. It includes abdominal breathing as a relaxation response and as a way of getting through stressful times. It includes the use of green dichromatic light and sunlight for the same stress resilience building effects. It includes eating in harmony with our nature and lifestyle. It includes eating locally grown, vine-ripened, organic, or biodynamically grown food as possible. In my own home, we have in the front yard a 6-year-old permaculture biodynamic food forest, and we keep extending each year how much we can grow ourselves, and we like to know the source for as much of the whole foods that we eat as possible. We also make restorative sleep a priority, and we work our muscles and relax them in proportions. So we want to live in harmony with the season of our life, live in harmony with our nature, and we want to have a healthy, balanced joy in living the alkaline way. Now, this is a structured approach. We start with LRA tests to identify immune-damaging food and chemical sensitivities. Then, continuing down on the left column, we include the health assessment questionnaire, the HAQ, and the self-test that we've just talked about. We remove excess damaging toxins. And then on the right side, we also restore and rebuild with targeted supplementation, building upon the foods you can digest, assimilate, and eliminate without immune burden. And then we recommend living joyfully, the alkaline way to consume, to eat and drink, think and do. And we've subjected this to successful outcome studies. Just 6 months of implementing the nutritional recommendations following their LRA tests and plan. Diabetic participants, and we did 2 studies, type 1 and type 2 diabetics, all starting from best standard of care, compared to the control group, a 46% improvement in insulin to glucose ratios and a reduction in hemoglobin A1C in the type 1 diabetics, an 18% reduction in insulin levels in the type 2 diabetics, a reduction in insulin resistance in the type 2 diabetics, a 13%, a full milligram percent reduction in hemoglobin A1C in the type 2 diabetics. These are important, compelling results starting from current best standard of care, showing how much better we can do in the short and long run. We also have done an outcome study in fibromyalgia, a successful outcome study in muscle pain that won't go away. Again, a 6-month study starting from best standard of care based on the LRA test results. Participants reported after just 6 months 70% less depression, 50% less pain, 50% more energy, 30% less stiffness. And we followed up with these folks, and they continue to feel and function better and spend less. So this restores the healing response capacities. It isn't a transient, it is a short and long-term approach to evoking healing responses. A case, an example, a Hashimoto's thyroiditis case. LM, a 30-year-old woman, was diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis after 7 years of symptoms. And I'm told that many people require 7 years of suffering before they're properly tested and diagnosed. Symptoms, LM symptoms included fatigue, muscle weakness, joint pain, weight gain, difficulty maintaining a healthy weight, bloating, and digestive distress. Sound familiar? The initial treatment was Synthroid and Euthyrox, a European version of thyroid hormone, with some relief. And then a functional approach was applied using the LRA tests. The therapeutic plan identified 20 items that reacted, including the nightshade family, trichophyton, benzaldehyde, and methylene chloride. By substituting for the reactive items to the extent possible, following a personal nutrient and lifestyle alkalinizing program, initially the energy level dramatically increased, pain decreased, reduced, and thyroid medicines reduced. This is the best I felt in years, the patient said. When you get those kinds of results, a treatment-resistant case that thrives, it helps you be re-enchanted with the practice of healthcare. And through this approach, you can evoke healing responses and remove obstacles to recovery. We have many additional case studies available at ElisaAct.com/case studies. That's ELISAACT.com/CASE-STUDIES. ElisaAct.com/case-studies. Or just call 1-800-553-5472 and the customer service team will be delighted to help you with case studies or other information about this approach. So in summary, we want to remove obstacles to recovery. We want to identify and substitute LRA reactive foods and chemicals to reduce the inflammatory repair deficit burden. We want to correct individual nutrient deficits with personalized and targeted supplementation by self-assessments that reveal need and meeting the true needs of the individual. We want safer toxin removal and enhanced detoxification in all three phases. We want to use nature, nurture, and wholeness, the alkaline way, the joy of living the alkaline way, so that we evoke human healing responses consistently, achieving better outcomes than others, achieving the triple aim, better health, better care, lower cost. Now, for additional information, please contact us. If you want the joy in living the alkaline way, you can download that ebook at www.perk.com/alkway. That is perque.com/alkway. Perk.com/alkway to download Joy in Living the Alkaline Way guide, or just contact us at elizaact.com, 1-800-553-5472, or at perk.com, 1-800-525-7372. We are just waiting for your call. Thank you for your interest in this 21st century approach to being and functioning well with all the challenges that the 21st century provides. I'm Russ Jaffe. I'm glad to let you know that I follow this approach myself. I've used it with my parents and my children, and with those who will follow this approach, we are highly confident you can feel and function better at whatever stage of life you choose to be.